All right, guys. Hey, we are gonna go ahead and get started. This is the weekly Lead Champ Pro, not the Lead Champ Unpro. This is only for pros, and we have a pro here today with Max. Is it Billesdon? Is that Billesdon? Billesdon? I'm sure I'm
Billesdon.
Billesdon.
Billesdon. Yeah.
Every way I've tried it was wrong. Uh, so sorry about that. But Max has joined us today. He has been a long time LCP user and really just crushing the game. Every time I open up a social media app, it doesn't even matter which one. I see how much he's selling, and so he's doing great. So we wanted on to kind of really what I told Nick is I don't really care if anybody else hears what Max is doing. I just want to talk to him, which I could call him, but yeah, we're just going to record it. No, but Max, you've been doing some big stuff. We'd love to hear about it. Love to hear about what's going on in your world. So I appreciate you taking the time to be on.
Yeah, for sure.
So just for anybody that doesn't know you, of course, we'll get that out of the way, right? Who are you? How long you been in insurance? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I've actually, realistically speaking, probably been in insurance a lot shorter than most people. I'm about a year and a half in at this point. I
A
did,
whole year and a half.
yeah, whole year and a half. I did automotive for 2, 3 years, give or take. Closer to three actually. So pretty decent sales background, but never did telesales or anything like that. And then just jumped really headfirst in insurance. Had a very rough start for I would say 3, 4, 5 months, just finances and really getting going. And then it honestly really took off for me. I would about a year ago. Back November of last year is really when it started taking off for me. And now this year just hit Hall of Fame and I believe October week two. Not as I was trying to hit it in August, but there's a couple carriers did an IP like Chubb and stuff like that. But just hit first time Hall of Fame. So it's really exciting.
Let's go, man. Congratulations on that. So, real quick, I don't want to breeze by what you said. So, you said the first 3 to 5 months was rough. What was rough about it? I know you said finances, but like specifically, what kind of challenges were you having?
I was honestly a scaredy cat with lead spend. I didn't
Okay.
didn't want to spend money on leads, didn't want to put money in the business, and I honestly sucked on the phone. I had horrible persistency.
Okay. Okay. A bunch of people on here sell insurance. Other people are kind of in that spot trying to get it ramped up, and it can kind of seem like a bit of a mystery. I think a lot of times people get on calls like this, they get on live dials, and they go, "Well, this is not that complicated. I sound like them. Like I say the same thing as them, but like they're getting wildly different results." So, do you remember your first lead order? What was it, and how much did you spend?
It was $100 bronze ILC North Carolina.
Oh man, okay. That
Yeah.
sounds like a good time. Did
Oh
did you
yeah.
sell anything off of that?
No, not
No?
one.
Okay. So then what? Then what happened? So you're like, ah, I blew $100.
Oh, I wanted to quit. I was like, oh, so you tell me I had to spend money to get cussed out? I usually do that for free. But no, I pulled my pants up and bought more leads. Then I was convinced. I bought some aged CRM center at the time and sold a couple of those.
Okay, so you got a couple, and were those what were those? Do you remember? What kind of
They were
leads?
all those North Carolina aged final expense.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I say that because I think number one, I mean, if anybody's on any level of recruiting, a common theme is like how much are the leads, how good are the leads, and it's just like leads, 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 and yeah, I mean, there's you know high intent new leads, age leads, or whatever, and I tell everybody like start on the new leads, get your teeth kicked in. That's where you're going to learn everything, make some money, get some confidence, and I think by and large that just people don't want to hear that. They want to, especially on a call like this where like we're going to talk about like systems automation. They're like, give me the fancy stuff. I want the fancy stuff, and I want to go from where I'm at to 100K a month and just skip all that in between.
Yeah.
So once you made a few sales, how did you? Now I don't know, I don't know how much you want to share right? Some people have money when they start. I had a few stacks to, stacked away when I started, so I wasn't. Some people are like scraping by financially when they get started. So like how did you get ramped up? Obviously you make some sales and you reinvest, but if you had that struggle, like what was that like for you? How long did it take you to actually get things ramped up to where you were selling, full time, let's say 5+ apps a week?
Yeah, that took me really 3, 4 months to get up to that level. Even then, it was, you know how final expenses. It's not like you're doing 5 final expense apps. That's rough, at least in my opinion. But when I came in, I had maybe 5 grand in that
Okay.
region. Not a ton. Five, maybe seven. It's just testing my memory a bit. I had a little bit of credit cards. Obviously, I don't have kids or anything, so it's not that stressful, really.
Don't have
Um,
it. Don't we don't you don't have the kids. We get a
no,
case of the kids once in a while.
no, but I didn't have a ton of money, but for me, it was scary just because in my last venture in the automotive business, I went completely broke as a managing partner. So like that was still fresh in my mind, knowing that, I could put all this money on credit cards and I'm not rich, like cash rich or anything. Um, I could repeat what I did a year and a half ago when I started, but I mean, it really changed for me was lead spend. And then I was doing like when I got on Lead Champ, the big thing was the automation of the handwritten notes. The thank you cards. What helped
Okay.
me a lot with persistency was thank you cards. Um,
Oh, let's go. Love that.
so I threw the thank you cards in about month two. That's when I slowly started to say, okay, well, maybe 50% persistency is not the normal.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, no, that's why do
yeah,
you think I mean outside of the cards, why do you think it was so low? Because I've had low persistency before, I have my opinion on it, but what do you think?
I wasn't building pain. I mean, for me, it was when I came into the business, it was honestly pretty rough. My upline left 2 weeks in and told me to get out of the business. So
Oh
it
man.
was it was an interesting start for sure. Lack of training was a big one, I would say. Like no one really sat down and taught me. I had to figure it out with good old YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I wasn't building any pain in my sale. It was super cutthroat and dry. Like, hey, Josh, yeah, you want this policy? Okay, cool. Like, just there was no pain. I didn't know why they wanted it. I was just writing policies to write it, and then I got confused when they would fall off. And
Did
that really changed in month 6, really seeing that persistency go up and that premium applied obviously follows.
premium applied. Yeah, that's a big one. Did you early on, uh you don't have to answer this directly, but did you hear anybody use the tactic, let's just see if we can get approved today?
That's what I did.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Yeah.
how I was
Like
taught.
for everybody, just delete that from your vocabulary. Don't say it. Don't use it. It feels cool to write the application. You'll regret it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So, yeah, I mean, I've done that too because I thought that's what you were supposed to do, and all kinds of other right. Like I say all the time, you can be really good. People like, I'm a great salesperson. I sell a lot. It's like, no, no, no. You get people to say yes on the phone a lot, but you're not actually gaining a customer. There's a difference.
Hmm.
When you're looking at premium applied and, 3 months, 6 months. So from my lowest, had a 59% persistency, with my like general carriers like Americo Moo, those kinds of things, not IUL only carriers. I like to use that as a barometer. And I just checked it yesterday and it was 85 and a half. So I've brought it up since using Lead Champ and, correcting bad habits and things. What's that? 26%? My goodness. So good for you, man. Good for you. All right. So once you started rolling, what were you like averaging? And I mean, we'll talk about what you're doing now because I have no idea, but like what were you averaging once it started clicking?
Uh, I'd say about 20 to 30K, give or take. I'd really bump between, I'd do 25, 30, 20, just right in that 20, 30, really.
Okay, well, solid. Yeah. So what's been the biggest difference from that to where you're at now, and what are you doing now? What are you focused on? Um, that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, you've seen how many tags I have.
Okay, I will say there is no one in lead champ period that has tried as many different lead vendors as you. That you
Yeah.
have, we're gonna make you a shirt.
Yeah, I try everything. That happened a year ago. Just anything you sell leads, I want them.
Yeah.
Literally, as you can see. I was just trying everything. New lead vendor came up. I wouldn't listen to anybody. I just, here's my money. And I was spending anywhere from, really what changed for me is like I still to this day spend 3 to 4 grand a week on leads
Okay.
easily, and I have two dialers. But I just variety in leads was massive for me. Like not putting all my eggs in one basket because that's what killed me. All I ran when I was doing 20 to 30K was ethos abandoned cart. Like, ran those religiously. I'd call to close them. I knew if I bought 20, I could sell 2 to 3. Um, that's just what I did. And then obviously, for me at least, I don't know if anyone else noticed it, they really dipped hard, like really bad, at least in my opinion. And that was to me was an eye opener where, okay, if I'm going to be spending this much money weekly on my business, it needs to be diversified.
Yep.
And it's the same way I look at money and investments. Like I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. So what really changed for me was I'm consistently running 3 different lead vendors every week. I've got my main Facebook campaign, and then I'm buying from 2 other sources every week. Just trying something different and making sure there's a good rotation in leads.
Now, what lead type? Not you don't have to say lead vendors, but types like IUL, final expense, or more like what types are you doing?
So I'm kind of a dying breed. I'm a mortgage protection.
Okay.
That's really what bumped me to 80K mortgage. Trying to get into IULs. It's just a lot for me to learn. But that's my next move, IULs for sure. But right now it's mortgage, and I still call to close final expense sometimes. It's fun.
Love,
Um,
yeah, it's love that. I mean, it, at the end of the day, you know, lead champ, all IULs. I mean, things change all the time. That's one thing I've learned about the life insurance industry. It's competitive, it moves fast. There's a bunch of us, and it's growing. And we're at the right place. You know what I mean? If you're here on the call today, you're at the right place. With that said, right? Um, we can get in our head about all the shiny objects. Lead champ can be a shiny object, where you get lost in like I got to have this right, that right, the other thing. And at the end of the day, if you have a phone you can call from and some work ethic, you can just grind. And whether it's final expense mortgage protection, you can IP, 80, 100K a month if you really, really want to go after it and invest in your business. And so I said this morning that Lead Champ is not going to save or fix bad behavior, but it will enhance good behavior, which is like not too comforting for somebody who's like maybe really, really struggling in their hope like the automations are going to fix it. It's not going to necessarily fix it, but it's certainly going to enhance it if you're doing the right things. Would you agree with that?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And that's what it did for me.
Yeah. So, okay, love that. Two dialers. Let me ask you this. How long have you had your appointment setters?
I've had the same one for 6 months now.
Okay.
Me too.
So yeah, I've had appointment setters for better part of 3 years, the same ones. I would first thing I'll say, if you agree with this, I would say, somebody's gonna hear this and they're like, oh, Max doesn't dial. I'm gonna go hire and spend money on a dialer. I would say if you are terrible at dialing and setting the phone, you probably shouldn't hire one because who's gonna train them? Would
Yeah.
you? Okay.
Yeah.
How much do you how much at all, honest, maybe none, have you spent time with your appointment setters telling them, hey, here's how I want it done. Here's how you should maybe review. Like, do you do that, or what's that look like?
So I've had a dialer for almost since I began. That was automatic for me. I just thought it made sense. So month two, I got my first dialer,
Okay.
IP 10 grand. Like it really made no sense with hindsight, but I've had a dialer since pretty much the beginning. And when I had those dialers up until 6 months, I was training them every day almost. Now it's a
Okay.
little bit different. Um, I have a gal who trains them. It's all under a management company.
Okay.
So she does all the training, and I just communicate to her, this is my process. I'll hop on Zoom with them maybe every week or two just to make sure everything's, going smoothly in the way I want the process to be. Because for me, my non-negotiable with a dialer, and it's seen my show rate on appointments skyrocket, is I'll go, even if I dial, I'll do the same thing and be like, okay, Josh. And then we run about, 15 to 20 of these calls a day. So as you can imagine, schedule's a little bit rough over here. So our office just has a requirement where you're going to get a couple of text messages. LeadChamp helps with that, obviously. We just require that you reply yes to one of those. Otherwise, we're either just going to double book your appointment or cancel that. Can you
You
reply
tell
yes
you
to one of
you
those?
tell them that
Yeah.
that they're so good because I talk about this all the time. Obviously, from a lead champ standpoint, it's like, well, the text messages go out, like I can just set an appointment and they'll respond, and it's like the this will sound silly, but do you know, Max, that people will literally agree to appointment and plan on not showing up? They're just trying to get you off the phone.
Yeah, that's what over half of them do.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, yeah, sure, 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 sure. And I know that I'm saying it out loud, and it's like, of course, but you're reminded of things. I had a lady last week. It was a no-show, called her back. I booked the appointment. She completely agreed to everything. And then the lead champ text and email went out, and she went in and declined the meeting. Like, not even no-show, absolutely declined it. And I was like, she had no, like, ah,
Yeah.
how did I not see that? And so, being direct as possible, especially if you're doing age stuff, any age lead, right? Maybe it's one of your own leads and it's a couple of weeks old, a month old, or whatever. Like, I would say that you should spend a few extra seconds. Now, if it's a quick set and that happens, fine. But you should have a few extra seconds to make sure they really want the appointment, you know? And they're gonna do it. Like, I had a guy the other day. I was like, hey, reply yes, kind of walking him through the thing. He's like, hey, I gotta go. I was like, hey man, I'm gonna get off the phone. I just want to make sure that we got this locked in and you know what you're gonna get. And he confirmed and it worked out. So that's great. Now, 15 to 20 appointments a day. I have a theory on this, especially for mortgage protection. Like, so when I was running mortgage protection and I was, 100% sole focused on producing, a little less so at the moment, still producing. Um, I knew that if I had 15 appointments on the calendar per day, no matter if it was a good day or bad day, I was going to write two applications. Good day, maybe I might write more. Really, really bad day, maybe only one. Average two a day. Would you say that's on par? You do better. Where would I mean, you're crushing it right now, so I would assume better. But what would you say your numbers are right at the moment on policy count?
Typically, I'm doing 3 to 4 apps a day. Every day I have 15 appointments, give or take. I always equate that 40% will show. I just kind of figure that as a worst case scenario. So 40% show, I know I'm going to talk to anywhere between 5 to 7 people a day, which is enough to keep me busy. Quite frankly, I barely have time to dial. I think I maybe make $20 a day at this point. And most of them are appointment calls. So I just know I'll talk to 6 to 7 people a day. The issue with mortgage protection, I'm finding it's a lot of, and it does depend on vendor. It's a lot of disqualification, which
Yeah.
I don't like. It drives me insane. But I know I'll disqualify about 40% of who I talk to pretty quickly.
Yep.
After I disqualify that, I'm typically left with anywhere from 3 to 4 apps that are closable. And I can usually close them if it makes sense. And my sales process is just very direct. Like I'm not I'm not trying to like NEPQ manipulate you into doing something
Any
you don't want
pick,
to
yeah.
do. And I've spent the money on that. It's just it doesn't work for me. I'm just super direct with people on the phone. I think like as a client, that's how I would want to be treated. So I'm just super direct with people. Like, hey, this is the product. Does it make sense? And I'm just every step of the sale is just super direct, keeping them involved. And I'm very upfront with them at the beginning of the call. I'm like, hey, there's a pretty high probability this won't even make sense. So the first part's just seeing if it even does, and if it doesn't, I'm just gonna, let you go about your day.
That no, I think that's awesome. I think, when we talk about like overcoming objections, yeah, I mean, there's like an objection is like I don't understand, right?
Yes.
Why do I have there's a difference between why do I have to give my social and is like I'm not going to give it to you no matter what,
Hmm.
right? Like I'm not going to sit here and fight with you. Um and so I just feel like if you have to like fight with somebody to convince like they're just going to cancel.
Yeah,
You know what
and
I
I
mean?
won't. Like for me, what changed a lot was differentiating what an objection is and a question is. Because, I mean, even with like agents I have coming in now, they're like, "Oh, you overcame a social objection." Like, no, they asked a question. I just answered the
Yeah.
question.
Okay, so like what do you say like on the banking part? Like so how do you set it up? Like do you tell them up front you're going to need it? How do you explain it? And then when they say I don't want to give that, what's your most common response?
So I tee banking up very, very early because if I'm going to lose someone at banking, I'd rather lose them at the beginning. That's
Okay.
just my thought process with it. So typically, when I'm rolling through the application, this is just through financial inventory. I ask them if they have a bank. So I'll figure out how much they make, what the mortgage payment is, and this is just general, like even final expense. I'll go this deep, and then I'll go, okay. And then, almost every carrier just requires this. Do you have a bank account with like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or like a local credit union? If they say no, I'll do a little bit of digging. I typically don't write direct express cards because it's going to charge back.
Yeah.
That's just how I look at it, but. I'll address it there and then I'll send my license at that point. So what I'll do is, okay, so this seems like it makes sense on my end. Let me just pull up some options before I do that. Make them go either pen and paper or I like to text my license to people because most people can receive text and that phone number is going to match the DOI every time. So I'll tell them that, yeah, it's just coming from that number. And, assuming this makes sense, I'm gonna have to input, banking account info and social and, basic information like that required to get a financial product. So I'm just required to send this up front. So typically I don't get a lot of banking objections. And when I do, I mean, I just more see it as how do you expect to pay for this?
Yeah.
And that's kind of just how I handle it because I pre-handle. So, I mean, even yesterday, I had a guy like, I don't want to give my banking out over the phone. My response was literally, okay, how are you going to pay for this? Like,
Right.
like I'm confused. I told you
Yeah.
up front, like, how are you going to pay for this? And I did get it. He was just like, oh, I don't feel comfortable giving that out over the phone. I want to see a policy. And then that's a different scenario. It's like, okay, well, let's go validate licenses and let's pull up Crankwheel. You can see my screen. You're,
How often do you do crank wheel on a presentation?
I would
Just if they need it?
say every other day. So not a lot. I
Okay.
very rarely get banking objections or social. I'd say maybe 10% of the time, like very rare.
Okay. Yeah, I mean in IUL land, we use it a lot to show illustrations. I think something that I've noticed is like we've done some like, trucker life insurance and if you're dealing with somebody like that that's like on the go, it's like not always opportune to do crank wheel. And
Yeah.
so that again, that's one of those fancy things that we got used to doing that we're like, we have to do it this way. No, you don't. No, you don't. Like you don't have to do that. We used to do it all the time, before we knew what crank wheel was. So, again, I think we get in our own head and with technology and we have to do it a certain way. No, you don't.
Yeah.
um, so no, that's good. Yeah, I had a guy yesterday, kind of with the objection thing. He goes, man, I don't like to give out my social. So I understand. And then he gave it to me. He didn't
That's
say he wasn't going to. He just said he didn't like it. I don't like it either.
that
So
yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah, no,
what I
that's
do.
great. So is it fair to say? I mean, are you working 6 days a week? Do you take a day off? What's your on-off schedule like? Is it all gas, no break?
No, I've done all gas no break. It was all gas no break for a year. What I found, and this is may seem counterintuitive, I don't work well all gas no break 7 days a week. So
Me either.
tip typically I'll work Monday through Friday pretty aggressively. I'm not one of those, I'm up at 5 a.m. in the gym. I've been down that road. That is not me. I typically get up at 7:45, 8. Take a shower, go for a walk, and as long as I'm at my desk by 9:45, I'll typically sit there till about 6, 7, and then around that I'll go out for dinner. Um, and kind of go about my life at that point. And to be
Okay.
honest, I probably work about 40, 50 hours a week now, like not as intense
Dude,
as you
that's
would think.
40, 50 hours and you've been IPing 80, 100 a month. That's incredible because I think again, people you hear I'm working all the time and then you kind of feel like that's what I have to do and your mind plays a trick on you.
Yep.
You go, "Well, I've been sitting in the chair for 16 hours." Well, you could have got it done in 8. Like you could
Yeah.
have, you know. Um, but
Well,
because you knew you were sitting there all day, you got busy doing all kinds of other stuff that wasn't like the
yeah.
main thing.
The key for me is when I'm working, and I'm just extremely efficient when I'm working. And
Yeah.
that's really what clicked for me. And now it's, I take Saturdays off occasionally. So,
Okay.
and that's really all that changed for me. Like really being aggressive with my dialers, like, hey, like these appointments need to show. I'm depending on you guys. Like my livelihood really goes through you guys. And really for me, just making sure that show rate's good and all my automations and stuff. And that's what changed for me, just automating my business, making it so stupid. Like my business is not complicated. I just spend 3 grand a week on leads. I have Lead Champ, I have dialers, and I know
It's just running.
it's yeah, just
What
runs and repeat.
a few questions on that because I know again, I know things that I've like struggled with, like you get these little mental blocks or habits that form and you're like stuck. Um, Side note though, where are you at in North Carolina?
I'm in North Charlotte,
Oh,
so
Charlotte. Oh, okay, okay,
Huntersville.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I need to connect you with my boy Dawson. He's over there, and we get over there sometimes. I have to come see you. It's
yeah,
just side note. We'll talk about that later.
yeah.
Um, Now, when it comes to like, you can be on a management where leads just come in. That's probably like your, Facebook campaigns just rolling in. They come in and when they come in, and then there's buy per lead. When it comes to buy per lead, I think like a lot of people struggle. It's like, how many should I buy? When should I buy them? I buy them and they drip in. Are they dripping in slow, fast? Like to really get the flow of appointments to where you need it. So like what's your schedule of buying? I know you're spending 3 to 4 grand a week. How many leads is that? How is it flowing in for you? That kind of piece of it.
So this is a little nugget that I was taught very early. Whenever I buy from a vendor, I always buy in packs of 40 or 50. Because if it's a bad batch, I'm gonna sell one out of a pack of 40 and 50, and I will
And
always
that
make
and that'll
money.
save it. Yeah.
And that will save it every single time. So I always buy in packs of 40 or 50. Um, I have the way my in terms of leads, I have my Facebook campaign for final expense that runs at $1,000 a week, then 250 retainer. So $1,000 in spend that just continually runs every day but Sunday. I don't know why we turned it off, but we do. I, that's another conversation. But so that runs continually. I'll get typically 80 to 90 leads off that. Not the
Okay.
highest quality, but it's just something to
Volume.
keep me busy, keep my dialer busy. And typically I'll write 5 to 10 grand off that, like consistently every week. Am I profitable like that? No, because the persistency's not great with final expense, but it gets the job done. It's easy cash flow, and it's just for me, it's just stupid sense. Like why wouldn't I run this?
I think there's
Um,
something to be said. Like there's something so here you mentioned IUL, and maybe this a whole nother conversation we can have. Is typically if you're just selling IUL, your policy count's going to be lower. Now your premium tends to be higher, your policy count's lower, and that freaks people out, especially coming from, final expense, mortgage protection, and then your carrier choice is different, and that transition's difficult, especially if you have to clean up a mess on a final expense. And so, but I think there's something to be said. Like we're salespeople, you kind of always need to be getting a win because if it's too many days before, or a day or two goes by, like if you went by 2 days and didn't sell anything, you'd be like, dude,
yeah,
am I
that's what
okay? Do I need to go to the
that's why
doctor?
that's why I keep a final expense going because it's easy win. Like I'll sell one a day.
Yeah. Now, if you're Shannon Carpenter, people just call you and they give you their credit card and they're like, "Hey, sign
Yeah,
me up for something." That's how he does it.
yeah, it's a little different. I'm not at that level, but yeah, not quite. But
All right. So you got your final expense campaign rolling in, and then outside of that, what do you have going?
so I'll put a vendor on blast.
Okay.
CRM mortgage protection religiously. That's where all my big cases come from.
Is
I
that the
will
name of the vendor? CRM Mortgage Protection? Or you
CRM
just
Center, Goat
Oh,
Leads,
oh
my
yeah, yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
file,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
file.
Goat Leads. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We love
Um,
Goat Leads. Yeah.
they just rebranded the whole
Yep.
thing, and the new system's pretty cool actually. I
So
like it just because it catches duplicate leads and won't send it to an agent.
okay, so I'll pause right there. Quick shout out for Goat Leads and LCP. So if you go to goatleads.com, we'll probably have this inside of LCP at some point. You can actually go in, set up your profile. It's GHL integration. You can integrate your LCP with Goat Leads, so they just drop right in, which is super cool. We've been talking with them about that. And then there's what's called a webhook. You can copy that, send it to support, and set that up. So when you hit the what happened button and make a sale, it goes back over to Goat Leads and they take it out of the system so it doesn't get resold. So super happy that they're doing that. It's very, very smart. And yeah, I don't know any other vendors that are doing that. So that's a little plug for them.
Yeah, my lead strategy with them though it varies. So typically I'll buy 40 mortgage because I know all my big cases come from mortgage. My average AP on mortgage is about 2,600.
Let's freaking go.
So I just know, I'll get my numbers. So every week I'm going in with about 2 grand, typically $2,600 spent on Monday. That's typically when my credit card knows it's gonna get some charge. So I'll run it. I've got that, and then if I'm having a really slow week, like I am this week, for example, it's Wednesday, not where I want to be in terms of sale wise AP. I just double down. I'll go buy more mortgage. So typically that's what I'll do. I'll even turn like I'm East Coast, so I don't like working in California anymore. But
Oh yeah.
if I'm having that type of week, I'll turn Hawaii and California on. So
Woo.
like this week, for example, I just bought 30 additional mortgage and I've got California and Hawaii turned on. So that's kind of my strategy when I'm having a down week because I used to get into this headspace where, especially when I started, I'd be like, oh, I've got this batch of ethos leads from last week. Haven't sold any yet. I've got 50 of them. Those can be my leads for this week. I just think it's so important to consistently have new numbers, new leads coming in, and that's the way I run my business. Like, I don't get
Well,
emotional about it. If I'm having a bad week, okay, I just need new people to talk to.
yeah, for sure. Now, I mean, it's one thing. It's like if that's your last thousand and you haven't got things ramped up, yeah, grind out those leads.
That's
Get
different. Yeah.
get one. Once, once you get rolling, you have to just pour everything back in until you're at cruising altitude. And Nat DiCarlo, multiple Hall of Fame, he spends a lot, sells a lot, and he's like, yeah, when you have the down week, most people they pull back and they go, okay, let me conserve, and it's like that's when you have to probably spend twice as much just to kind of, get back to where you're going, and a lot of it's mental. You get in a headspace, and I don't know if you've ever caught yourself doing this. I think a lot of the things that we do here at Lead Champ is because I'll pat Jamie and I on the back for one thing only, is being self-aware enough that we're a mess. And let's try to fix some, make some things to fix some of those things. And I know for me, sometimes I'll get in a headspace where you've talked to some crazy people in a row and you're like, I do not want to talk to one more person that has something dumb to say. And you go into the call with a bad attitude and you end up not selling. And then there's days where I'm like, dude, I'm gonna close this next one. I'm gonna help this person. No matter what they say, I'm gonna get them coverage, and then you sell it. And so I think that also has something to do with it. What it seems like magic, but yeah, that's a thing. I don't know. Have you ever experienced that? Good attitude, bad attitude, and your sales
Oh,
follow accordingly?
well, last night I was like, I mean, oh God, I was like, I just looked at this lead. I was like, oh my God, it's 79 and their mortgage is like $1 million. I don't even want to call it. And I, I yeah, I mean, I had a rough day yesterday. I think I sold one and it was $600. And I was like, okay, this is great. And then I don't know, I saw that lead come across and I was like, oh, great. $1 million mortgage and they're 79. I know how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
And it didn't go well. They didn't like my equity protection pitch, which is fine. But yeah, I feel like maybe if I went into it with a better attitude, maybe I could have closed them. I've listened to the recording already. I'm like, oh yeah, I was sounded horrible. So
Okay, you listen
that
to your
is a big
recordings.
thing. That is a
You
big
listen to
thing, and
recordings. That's
I get
awesome.
into that a lot. Like
Yeah.
if I'm having a rough day, sometimes I'll get that, and maybe I wouldn't have closed it if even if I was in the best mood possible. But um, that's something I work on a lot, just knowing, yeah, I'm a mess. Let's manage it properly. Make
Yeah.
sure we don't get emotional about it. And just going in every sale with the same attitude. Because I mean, there's times where I'll go into it, I'm like, oh crap, the same situation. They're like, oh yeah, I'll do that. 400 a month, America whole life. Yeah, sign me up.
Sounds good. Yeah, I had a guy one time, I remember he somebody had pitched him like 6 months before on equity protection with Aetna at the time. And it was like 10,000 equity protection. He's like, but he didn't know equity protection. He was just like, yeah, it was 10,000, whatever it was a month. And I'm not going to do that. And I'm thinking, I'm about to tell him the same thing. And so I went through the whole equity protection explanation, which, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, equity protection, go to your VMU site, hit the orange VMU site button, go down to the mortgage protection product page, and there's a side by side. It's actually Jamie Cheerio doing equity protection, full protection, good explanation. So I go through that, and he signs up, and it was more expensive than what the other person had told him. And it was just because, I have good attitude, took the time to really explain it, and not just give them a price and an option, and that's the difference. So yeah, it all matters. Um now the promotion, when we told everybody you're going to be on the call, said that you IP'd 120. Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. When I first saw that, I was like, okay, maybe you got an annuity or something. Like, was it just all final expense mortgage section?
There was an annuity in it.
Okay, there's an annuity. Okay, okay, okay.
It was
I don't
90.
want to be, I don't want to belittle it, but
It was 90 grand life with an annuity. So the
only
annuity,
90 grand life. Okay,
yeah.
okay, and then a small annuity. Okay, was that annuity from one of the leads or something else?
That was, yeah, a mortgage lead, 75-year-old. I told her, I was like, yeah, this makes no sense. What makes sense for you is an FIA, and got her on Zoom and closed it. One call closed an annuity.
Okay. Woo. Now, how did 'cause plenty of people sell final expense mortgage protection and will never, the annuity conversation just never comes up. Is that something that was just specific to that conversation? Are you looking for that at
No,
all?
I bring it up every time. Like if mortgage protection with someone or an IUL or what, even final expense, like if I really feel it doesn't make sense, but you've got a little bit of cash, because there's times where I get on the phone with people, even a final expense. Like I did an annuity last month as well. It was 70 grand. It was a final expense lead. And she was just like, yeah, I've got 70 grand. I was like, okay, so you've got 70 grand cash. I guess why do you think this even makes sense to put a $10,000 policy on your head? And she's like, no, it doesn't really make sense. And then I switch the conversation around, and I'll take the annuity over a final expense policy every day. And I was just like, well, it's sitting in a cash account. Like, wouldn't you want to earn a little bit more interest on that? She's like, yeah, it's just my inheritance. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to send you a link here to Crankwheel, and we're going to
Yeah.
go over this. I mean, it's really not that hard annuities. Once you get over that first hurdle, it's just like it's a simple product. Like it makes sense.
No, I remember, going from final expense to mortgage protection. I was like, oh man, it's so scary. Same thing with IUL, same thing with annuities. And it's just, we're not dealing with equities or EFTs or anything like that. I mean, it's not, it's not rocket science. So that's great. So 90K in life, man. You're cranking. I love that. So now you have these two dialers. Now I know you're on Connect, our dialer. Do you like pay attention to like the dashboard stats? Is there anything that you're looking at, week to week just to make sure that they're doing, a good job for you?
So I stare at that Connects thing religiously every night because realistically, I don't dial anymore.
Sure.
I realistically don't. I'm not going to pretend like I do. So all my business comes through my dialer on Connects, the one dialing my fresh leads. So like I study that thing religiously at night just to make sure the recordings are good, and then I'll talk to the lady who manages my dialer. We talk almost every day at this point. She sends me our end of day report, goes over like how many pickups we got, answers, you know, close rate on the appointment. So I get a breakdown from them every day on every little statistic, and then I'll go in and do my own kind of digging on it at the end of the day through Connect. So I'll listen to a few recordings. I'll go through the like not interested and figure out where they're messing up, send them the recording, and then typically I'll send a voice memo and be like, okay, this is how we don't run into that again. Um, but yeah, Connects is great, just from a management standpoint, because it
Yeah.
really, at least in the data, I've never had that with a dialer.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Um,
a lot of great dialers out there. If you're just by yourself, you can make an argument for this, that, or the other thing. But especially if you're hiring somebody, if you're looking over the shoulder of somebody else, I kind of feel like you have to have something like that.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
so that's great. So, you talk about postcards, any other things in Lead Champ specifically that you really feel like this is making a difference?
The postcards is a big thing. Um, for me, the follow-up, because if there's one thing I'm horrible at, it's presentation follow-up, like just terrible, horrific at it. Um, and that what happened presentation saves my life a lot. That one, and then I think another one is just the text messages, like making sure people get their policy packets, because I'm sure everybody at this point knows, but with Chubb, they don't send a policy packet unless the client goes in and says, I want a physical policy packet. So, I mean, it saved me probably at this point 5 policies with combined Chubb because they're like,
Yeah.
"Where's my policy pack?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I had to do some digging." Like I've never had this issue. Um, I think the follow up on the back end helps a lot. And I mean, like even my Americo persistency, like yeah, I don't say it proudly. Still recovering from when I started because your 12 months really like an 18-month lag. It's I
Yep.
believe 59%, but my 6 month now is 97%. Like
Oh
it's
no, that's great. That's great. Yeah,
insane.
matter of time. It'll keep ticking up. I mean, it took me a minute, maybe 12 to 18 months to like get it there, and it's been maybe 2 years from the lowest to the highest.
Yeah, it takes
Um,
time.
you know what I mean? So yeah, yeah. But it's nice now that I'll take 85, right? That's a good
Yeah.
place to live. So that's great, man. Any any other things? I mean, I this was helpful for me. I don't know about anybody else because again, I think it's easy in 2025 with, AI automations and IULs and everything out there to get lost in the sauce. And at the end of the day, it's like set a bunch of appointments, have 15 a day, invest in your business. If you want to make more, spend more once you know how to sell. If you don't know how to sell today and you're struggling, you can get through it. Max did, you know what I mean? Got to go grind it out. It's probably not going to be fun, but it's like the elements maybe change, the lead vendors change. No one has done more lead vendors than Max. He's got the record, you know. But right, all you need is, a work ethic, willingness, get after it and make a whole bunch of calls and you can get there. I think is the message. So, but anything else you would add that maybe we didn't go through a tip, something helpful, anything you'd add the cherry on top?
Study your numbers religiously. Know what your ROI is on every lead vendor. It's really, really simple to do. And Lead Champ does make it really easy because it shows your close rate right in the beginning. That's what really changed it for me. Obviously, I'm very dynamic with with the lead vendors I run at this point. Always being like always diversifying where my money's going is massive. I always consistently have three different lead vendors every week. Doesn't matter if it's a Facebook campaign, doesn't matter if it's CRM Center, doesn't matter if it's, I don't know, Kaboom or whatever other lead vendors out there. Just always have different leads coming in. But knowing my numbers was massive. For me, and that's how I was able to scale back from working 16 hours a day while ramping my production up. Because what I figured out was, okay, if I spend $1,000, I'm typically on average getting 6 to 7 back. So I'm just going to spend 3 grand a week, and that's the result I'll get. And then from there to work less, hire a dialer, get lead champ. That AI sets me probably 5 appointments a day, and then just automate your life and pull back. But for me, the biggest thing is just knowing your numbers.
Jamie or Nick. Sheesh. There it is. There it is. Roll the credits. Max, man, thank you. Thank you so much. Good to connect with you. I feel like we mostly communicate through Loom and support, but good good to talk to you, man. Glad
Yeah,
you're having a ton of success and anything that we can ever do for you, please let us know and we'll keep watching it on the charts. For anybody that has not if your AI is currently not working, it should be, hit up support. Or if you haven't set it up, you need to go inside of Lead Champ, hit the Launchpad menu in the top left, go down to the AI section, follow directions, and it's no extra charge to set that up. Definitely set it up. So if you have a good lead flow like Max, you could be setting 5 appointments a day hands free. Is that going to save your business? No, but it's going to enhance your business. And that's what we do here at Lead Champ. With that said, everybody have a great day. Take care for now.
appreciate it, Josh.
Thanks, Max.